Hello, everybody. Season 3, Episode 22, Green Effect Podcast. Here's what we're talking about today. Father's Day slash Stepfather's Day slash Grandfather's Day slash all the father whatever is out there, all right? So we talk about that briefly. I'm a stepdad, so we talk about that. Next thing we talk about is debt to income. Man, Canadians be spending money, and honestly, it's sometimes out of necessity. We're going to talk about debt to income ratio, one of my favorite statistics. Well, favorite, not good, but favorite statistics, okay? And then we're going to talk about OSFI, the Office of the Superintendent for Financial Institutions, them versus Tiffy Boy versus JT and Disney Plus lady. Basically, I break down what's going on with this, insane nightmare situation of three groups of bleh, not good. All right, we get right into it. Here we go.
Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast. Finance, life, business, and everything in between. And now, your host, Stephen Green.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Green Effect Podcast, Season 3, Episode 22. And this is our special Father's Day edition, where we're going to talk about extreme household debt and being late to the party. And I'm talking about OSFI. So happy Father's Day. Hey, in a lot of cases, it's also happy Stepfather's Day. I know that's what it is for me. And hey, listen, if a lot of fathers out there do a lot of stuff and, they take care of their families, they do what they got to do. And hey, listen, if you get at least a morning of a little bit of spoiling here and there until, you have to go out and cut the grass and wash the windows and, deal with all the other stuff you have to as a dad or a stepfather or a grandfather, then enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. It happens once a year. So happy Father's Day and Stepfather's Day and Grandfather's Day to all the folks out there. And like I said, hope you get spoiled a little bit by your families, your friends, your everybody like that. So, all right, let's get right into it. Man, that's I'm about to go into a Debbie Downer sort of topic from a really happy Father's Day one. I really don't have a better transition for this. Anyway, moving on. Debt to income. So let's talk about what's going on with Canadians and their debt to income ratio. And if you have followed this podcast or followed me on social media for that matter, I have always said that we always have to monitor the debt to income ratio in Canada. So what the debt to income ratio is what is the ratio of debt you have to your household income. Okay, so, and I also talk a lot about this when I do presentations to partners and real estate offices and stuff like that. So historically, debt to income, I believe back in the 80s and even the 90s, the debt to income ratio was 66 cents, okay? So people had less debt, right? So they had dollars, not cents. $66 of debt to income, which means they were making more than what they owed. And you got to also remember, historically, credit cards never really became a thing until the 80s. So, this free flowing of debt just is relatively recent. So over the years, as Canada grew, and of course the credit culture is what they call it, also grew, the debt to income ratio grew and grew and grew. And listen, I remember back in the early 2000s when I was a proud banker, and I remember they always said, listen, I believe mid 2000s, we were at $1.40, $1.40 of debt to $1 of income, primarily because of mortgage debt. Let's call it what it is, right? Prices go up, mortgage debt has to go with it, etc. But I remember in the mid 2000s, they were like, guys, If we get to like a buck 65, buck 66, it's Armageddon. We're done. Like, the economy cannot sustain that. Let's just fast forward to most recently. We are officially, and we've held this title actually for a while, the most indebted nation in the world. Okay, Canadians love their debt, they roll into it, and they're happy living with it. But we are now at a mind-boggling, and I'm just going to round this number because it sounds better, or worse, whichever way you want to look at it. We are now at $1.85 of debt to income. Record by far, highest in, I think, the world. Okay. And it's only increasing. So we look for trends. So for example, during COVID, when nobody, especially in the year 2000, as soon as, from let's say March on, nobody was going anywhere. No one was spending money. We were all just staying home. And the debt to income ratio actually plummeted. And I'm say plummet because it was a substantial drop, down to about the 1.62, 1.63 range. Okay, so a buck 62 or a buck 63 to $1 of income. People were saving. Canadians were just putting money away. Can't go anywhere, right? Can't spend it. Just save it. And since then, and primarily because of mortgage debt, this number has increased. Mid-ish last year, okay, the debt to income ratio, it kind of got to a point where it was almost stable at about a buck 80. So $1.80 of debt to $1 of income. And the reason why this is now becoming more prominent is because it's increasing. Debt is increasing, okay? Now, this should not be, if anyone's shocked by this, you got to get the rock away that you're living under, because I can tell you right now, in credit applications I see, obviously mortgage debt is still increasing at a slower pace, but it's also unsecured debt that is increasing because, folks, let me just tell you a story, okay? So my wife and I, our daughter wasn't home, so we're like, you know what? We don't want to spend a lot of time making a big lavish meal. Let's just pop to the store. We'll kind of do something neat and get like some fresh packaged pasta, like packaged, okay, from Zehrs, which for the folks who are not in the Kitchener Waterloo area is like a Loblaws. So we got a pack of fresh pasta. We got some fresh Parmesan. Now we're not talking about like fresh, just scraped off the Parmesan cheese brick, but in the refrigerator, the Kraft stuff in a, 500 milliliter plastic container. So we got the pasta, the cheese, and we got just some like rosé sauce, like maybe 300 milliliters of rosé sauce. Like, pretty simple. We thought, you know what, go out. It'll last us a couple of meals. Our daughter's gone for a week or so. Around 15 bucks maybe, 15, 20 bucks. Nope, not at all. A simple pack of fresh pasta, a little bit of nice rosé sauce, and a 500 ml thing of Parmesan. Before tax, sorry I yelled that in the microphone, was $30. 30. Each one was $9.99. And yeah, this is why household debt is increasing. Because I remember distinctly, it is my favorite Parmesan cheese, okay? We used to take the fresh stuff for us and give the stuff in the aisle that was dry, that was good for like 8 years. We give that to the kids. I remember doing that. And we never told them. We just like dropped it on their food. They really, I don't know if they knew or not. It doesn't matter at this point. It's a whole other issue. But I remember being just pissed, a couple of years ago when that cheese was like $5.99. I'm sorry. I don't know how much they're paying the cows for the milk for this cheese, but there's no way in hell there's any viable reason or legitimate reason that cheese has to go up $4 a bloody container. Stop it. There's no freaking reason why that cheese has to increase by that price. You gotta be kidding me, man. So, yeah, you know why household debt is increasing? Because, I'm sorry, I don't care what Galen and the three stooges there who own the three big grocery conglomerates say. There's price gouging. Let's just call it what it is, okay? You walk out with a bag of groceries, like a bag, after you pay for the damn bag, and it's $100. Like, what are we even doing? And don't even get me started to go out to eat. All right, I'm digressing. Let's come back. So this is where, yeah, you're damn right household debt is increasing, okay? If people are all getting paid the same, okay, or they're getting a 2% increase, okay, help me understand how they're going to afford food. And then, of course, we have the price of housing going up, which I'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, this makes sense. So what happens now? All right. This has caught the attention of everybody. And honestly, if people are shocked, they're idiots. Like, you can't be shocked by this. All right. We got the government, and I don't want to dwell on this, man. If you want to hear what's going on between the Liberal government and Bank of Canada, just listen to episode 21. I go into detail on that. I'm not going to repeat it here on this podcast, but you got the Liberal government who is, and listen, I don't care if the Liberal PC, just call it Justin, all right? JT and Disney Plus lady. Those, Beavis and Butthead are seriously increasing inflationary measures. I thought it was $20 billion was Bill C-47. Someone said it was 60. Hey, once you're over 20 billion, what's a couple of extra billion between friends, okay? Here's a bunch of money. Let's give people an extra $500 a month. Lower income. Here's an extra $500 a month to afford those groceries. No. Please stop encouraging the grocery companies to jack up prices. Stop that. Save your 20 billion. Go over, give Galen's head a shake and hit the other two stooges, all right? And fix this. This is ridiculous. Don't give me COVID. We're not there. I'm calling bullshit. That's it. Okay? So I see people struggling. People who have done nothing wrong. They're not overextended, but they are now becoming overextended. Okay? We need to stand up against this. All right? This is insane. So follow this number, okay? Debt to income ratio, okay? Google it. You can find historic data on it. It's one of the most fascinating numbers out there. And especially when you compare it to, everything with other countries, okay? And there's other indebted countries as well. But, we are number one, baby. So let's see how this goes. Follow the number. Google it. Fascinating statistic. All right. Moving on. On the topic of being asleep at the switch. Okay. So I need to set some context here. When we talk about variable rate mortgages, okay, so let's talk about the big five banks. Scotia, TD, RBC, CIBC, and BMO. Okay. When you have a variable rate mortgage, obviously you get a rate that is connected to the prime rate. That's the one that Tiffy boy keeps going up and down with. Okay. Or actually up, not down. And your payment is based on a discount or a premium off that prime rate. So there's two types of we'll call them variable rate mortgages. Okay, one is an actual variable rate whereby the payment you are contracted to pay at the beginning does not change. But if the prime rate goes up or down, the amount towards principal and interest will change. The other one is an actual adjustable rate mortgage whereby if the prime rate changes, your payment goes up or down immediately so that your mortgage is always caught up relative to amortization. So of the five big banks, the only bank that has an adjustable rate mortgage is Scotia. So those folks have been going through pain for a while because their payment goes up immediately. So when you hear people saying my payment went up immediately, that's generally Scotia clients. Pardon me. So they're feeling pain right now. The other four banks, TD, RBC, BMO, and CIBC, they are variable rates. So their payments, what happens is as prime goes up, remember, the payment stays the same. The only thing that changes is the amount towards principal and interest. However, when it gets to the point where you're paying only 100% interest on your payment, you hit what we call the trigger rate, which basically triggers a higher payment. So you're actually still paying interest and you're paying a little bit of principal. Okay? So we have a lot of mortgages right now for those 4 banks whereby trigger rate has occurred like a year ago, not a year ago, months ago, we'll say. However, most of the payment is interest. So you've got a situation where amortizations, because you're not paying any principal, amortizations are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I'll be honest, one of my little mortgage segments I had hit like 90 years. Okay, so I'm laughing, but it's not funny. So anyway, this has been a talking point for months because they're like, how the hell do we get out of this? Scotia, they've been feeling the pain for months, so it is what it is. But the folks with the static payment on those variable rate mortgages, they don't even want to refinance right now or flip to a fix, which is probably in a lot of cases not advisable anyway, because their payment's going to jump and they're used to the lower payment already. And they're just keeping their fingers crossed that this whole prime rate thing comes down. So, OSFI, the the Office for the Superintendent for Financial Institutions, which basically governs the banks, lending rules. They brought in the Bill B20 regulations around the stress test. 25-year amortizations on default insured mortgages. Basically, every crappy rule nobody liked was OSFI who brought it in, okay? Again, I hate defending government folks, but we're kind of lucky now that they did that because this could have been a lot worse, okay? Anyway, on the topic of being completely late to the party, okay, they've come out and basically indicated that bank regulators, banks have to tackle issues with these extended mortgage amortizations, okay? They're saying it's going to be an issue, right? They're saying that, we can't re-amortize debt. Banks are desperately asking to go to 35, 40-year amortizations to basically keep people in their houses, okay? So it's OSFI's basically saying, look, you can't, how do I word this right? We know this has been going on for a year. This is OSFI. We know this has been going on for a year. We know this is all happening. However, we really need you to sharpen your pencil and make sure this shit doesn't get out of control. We can't have 40-year amortizations on things, okay? So let's just paint the Canadian picture right now. Because this is just, I've used this term before. I mark my podcast explicit. It is what it is. It's like the shit show at the fuck factory. Who is running this? Because anyone who's running a country like this shouldn't be. All right? Not even a lemonade stand. Seriously. So let's just paint the picture of the cast of characters, okay? We got JT and Disney Plus lady. All right? JT just spending money. That boy, he ain't got money, he's spending it. Because he said, hey, credit has really no consequences. All right? So we got JT with inflationary actions, more money, more Epson ink. It's all good. We're going to print that shit. All right? We got and by the way, if you ever heard Disney Plus lady, Christina Freeland, honestly, just listen, Google, pardon me, Google Christina Freeland interviews, okay, or press conferences. I have never met a person so damn clueless. You ask her a question like, hey, can you tell us about your approach with Bill C-47? And she's like, yeah, so I live here, my house is red, and my car goes fast. And then you're like, what the hell just happened? Clueless. All right. You got JT, Disney Plus lady, spending money like it's going out of style. All right. You got Tiffy Boy, who I cannot freaking believe I'm about to defend that guy. Tiffy Boy doing what he's got to do. All right. He is reacting to the clowns up in Ottawa. All right. So he has to raise rates. Guys, I got news for you. July is going up again. So, because this is not getting any better, because Ottawa keeps jacking money into the damn economy. Like, it's like that whack-a-mole. Like, what are we doing? Okay. So we got these two, and then we've got OSFI. And they're like, guys, come on, banks, you gotta straighten up here. This is not cool. Okay, you can't. I know. I know household debt's going up. I know JT and Disney Plus lady is, they're spending money. I know that household payments, rent, because there's nothing to rent. That's a whole other podcast. I know mortgage payments are going up. I know rent's going up because, again, JT and Disney Plus lady, we got all this record immigration. We're on pace for 1.5 million people this year in a country of 40 million. But you know what? Don't extend those amortizations. Seriously. Is this seriously our life right now? No other country, corporation, business would ever be run like this. Like, I don't get it. So, oh yeah, and by the way, don't bother trying to have a grocery bought pasta dinner from the friggin' grocery store, because that's $30 before tax. So, this is where we're at. Now, being an industry maverick like I am, you're probably wondering, well, Stephen, what do we do to fix this? Well, I got the answer. No one's going to like my answers. Well, some of you might like one of my answers, but we have two things to fix this damn problem. All right? Someone has to shut off the goddamn water hose with Justin Trudeau with money. Stop spending freaking money. Anything that increases inflation, stop. No more. Like, you need to have 2 or 3 signatures on the checks you're writing, Justin, to make sure it's allowed. That's number 1. Number 2, we need immigration. 100% we need immigration, okay? In Canada right now, there's more people dying than are being born. It's very simple numbers, okay? We've got to either cut that in half, slow it down, but not stop it. Okay? We don't have housing for 1.5 million people this year. Not going to happen. Okay? Not going to happen. Rents are going to increase even higher. That's going to screw up inflation. That means TIF's got to jack up rates again. Okay? And builders, guys, builders are just not building. They're like, screw this. This is stupid. They're business people. They're the smartest ones out there. We're not building. Why are we building? There's no more building. That's it. We're done. Because housing starts are way down. I think the numbers, please don't quote me on this. I think housing starts are down 23%. So let me just get my calculator here. So 1.5 million people, okay, divided by, is it 40? Is that how the math goes? 40 million. Okay, so this can't be the right number, but we're going to increase our, oh, maybe it is. We're going to increase the number of people in our country by a whole bunch, but we're not going to have anywhere for them to live. So, Tent City here in Kitchener, right? Get ready. That's our future. Okay, and I honestly, that is the saddest thing I've ever seen in a developed country. I don't fault them. It's not their fault. They're doing what they got to do to live. This is going to get worse. So I've got the answer, guys. I got the answer. All right. We have to completely Kathleen win Justin Trudeau right out of office. People in Ontario, you'll know what happened in the 2018 election. Okay. And we got to slow down immigration, man. We have to. Right? I love immigration. I am a child of immigrants. Okay? But there was room for us to go. there was housing, right? People could afford it. So anyway, there's my passionate outreach of what the hell's going on right now with the cast of characters among the government agencies. So anyway, I kept sneezing and coughing throughout this thing. I got to have some water and calm down, and I actually have to go visit my mother and family today, so got to make sure I'm prepared for that and kind of come down a notch after my talk here. All right, folks, love having this podcast. Hey, support me if you can. I'm not looking for money yet, but love me, like me, follow me, share me. I don't know, whatever else you got to do. 5 stars is completely the standard for wonderful people like myself on Apple Podcasts and Google and whatever. And until next time, we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Green Effect Podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or Google Play so you catch the next episode. And don't forget to leave a review. Much appreciated.